you're going to get stuck with it. But if you just actually say, you know what, that happens to me, and deal with it however it's going to happen and move on, you'll grow past it. And the same thing happens in sales cycles. You know, if you accept certain things that happen during a sales cycle, you'll grow faster. So when we always look at it like the old school Rolodex, got to have all your rebuttals ready. Everything better be ready. If they have an objection, you go to this section, you pull out this little card, and you say this to them. Those things used to work very well, but society has grown.
And technology's grown.
Yeah.
Right, allowing you to eliminate a lot of processes that you before had to deal with person to person.
Yep.
So I'm actually looking forward to today's topic, about the sales cycle and how it's changed, the evolution, the old school ABC, always be closing, that's good, but it's so old school and hard. If you want to work hard, then keep following that method, right? I think with the new school and the mind map and our program that we have, I think that the new way, I would say the sales mind map way, makes it easier and quicker for people to build trust, credibility, all kinds of, rapport with your audience early on, right? So,
and rapport is huge. I mean, if you look at some of the things that you're going through, people want to buy people.
Yep.
So even in your business, like somebody mentioned to me yesterday that their son works at Chick-fil-A, and the statement they say to their employees is, our food is half the experience. The other half is you. Mm. So when they're coming there, they're like looking for this experience from this employee in the way that they treat you, how they greet you at the door, and the questions that they ask you, so that you remember that experience, and then you still love the food. Me, not so much, but in general, for that place, it works for them. And then you got to look at the overall perspective and say, okay, so in sales is only half of it, right? So in some of the courses, I'd ask people, like, when do you think a sale actually begins? And for me,
before the contact.
Yeah, see, I'm opposite. I believe the sale happens when they actually sign the paperwork or pay the payment. That's the sale.
I gotcha.
But is there really a sales process that the mind is going through versus just a sales? Like, I'm selling this person. So there's a curiosity stage, there's a significance stage, there's the frustration or struggle, hope and freedom, urgency, the certainty they're going to do this. All these things that happen in these 6 stages that are basically the mind is going through is what's going to help things be easier for people out there. So we launched a course called Sales Mind Map, and it basically takes you through these sales processes that the mind and the human person goes through from blocks that they've built throughout their life. Like if you ask everybody to describe a car salesman, you'll get all kinds of off-the-wall comments like pushy, greedy, eager. But then if you find the right salesman, he was helpful. He asked me the right questions. He had significance. He understood my struggle with buying a car. He knew the freedom that I wanted from this luxurious car I wanted to buy. So there's ways of changing that stigmata around sales and making your life easier. So the Sales Mind Map is a course that we have coming out in October. So the last quarter of this year, we launch it for next year's build-ups. And we're going to be building groups and free Facebook pages to comment on it, and just kind of going for it and teaching this knowledge as best we can, because it's rough being a salesperson out there in this industry. You work really hard, but you could relax a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll show you how to use modern day tools and systems through the web to, it doesn't matter what sales you're doing, whether it's a car dealership or if you're a financial or insurance or real estate, how you can use a sales funnel and the tools that are out there to build that trust and rapport early on. People buy based on like, trust, and knowledge, and they buy for 4 major reasons. They're either trying to eliminate pain, create pleasure, or speed up a process. And then the last of that is, are they buying you? And so you need to build that early on. And, we've talked about sales funnels and the importance before you even have a sit down with the client, how you can use the sales funnels technology to instantly build authority, instantly build rapport, get that trust and like. And it starts with giving value at all times. Value, value, value. Then you sit down to sell, or through the web you sell, right? And then you deliver, and you didn't maybe have upsells, downsells, but then you continue to deliver more value, right? Because then you go into the referral stage and ask for referrals. And if you're constantly providing value all the time, you're gonna build. And so we're gonna talk about a little bit how you could do that early on through the sales funnel.
Yeah, because in every cycle, there's leads, there's a sale, and there's the fulfillment. No matter what you have a lead coming in, you have a sales cycle that they go through, the customer buying cycle, the introduction, the onboarding, and then the actual fulfillment of the product, even if it is just handing them a soda. So when we get back from the break, we're going to basically go through all this stuff with you guys on how to have a successful sales funnel and how to make things more curious. So always be curious versus always be closing.
Yes.
In the Now Radio 105.5 with Brandon Heinz and Mike Frigger.
See you in a bit.
Change comes from action. What actions will you take this year to ensure you and your business grow?
I'm Brandon Heinz, founder of the Now Academy, where our focus is to help you achieve everything you want, both in your business action needed to have what you want, and you don't have to do it alone. Join us for the next upcoming Design It course, where we will teach you the proven systems to design your business to gain your life.
Take action and register for the Design It course at designitcourse.com and reserve your seat today.
Drugstore chain CVS Health says it will offer a nationwide service to treat easy-to-diagnose medical issues using its smartphone app. The telemedicine service will be offered for diagnosis of conditions like colds and flu, skin issues, and general wellness matters. Disney CEO Bob Iger says his company plans a new video streaming service that could be even cheaper than Netflix. Iger told investors the service will form as Disney continues to absorb all of Fox's content and end several licensing deals over the next year, with a projected launch sometime in 2019. Congress is working on legislation that would require federal regulators to draft minimum requirements for airline seat size and legroom. Unfortunately for air
back in
travelers,
20.
the measure does not specify what those requirements should be. I'm Mark Huffman. Review the Consumer Affairs Daily Brief at Amazon.com today.
The #1 show for entrepreneurs. This is In the Now, part of the Money 2.0 series on Money 105.5 and the Money 105.5 app.
Back. Welcome back. We are back and alive, and we are talking about sales cycle, right? What is a sales cycle? Some people don't even know what that is.
Yeah, well, for me, it's curiosity and rapport. So in every business that's ever been open, there's a need that needs to be fulfilled. And understanding that need from your client, from your customer, and being able to fulfill it in a different way is always great. There's so many different ways that you look at this. Everybody looks at it differently. Some people, the whole experience is going to be the spoon that they use to have the soup. But then this other recipe is going to be, I would like to know that the soul food comforts people when they take the first bite, or my product helps people with arthritis and it looks good on their arm. There's all kinds of ways of finding out how to fulfill that need. But we got to remember that every time we go into business, it's one human to another human. Everything that you're doing is serving another human being. Mm-hmm. So when you find out what that fulfillment is, and that's how you launch it. That's why people say if you love something, you can make a business out of it. If you have a craft, you can make a business out of it. From quilting to karate, whatever it is, you can build a business out of it as long as you understand that fulfillment to the other human being. And then going another step forward is just knowing what they want and giving it to them.
Yeah, I'd agree that, that is important. And traditional, what a sales cycle normally is known and is that it's a process before the client becomes a lead to the end result of they've purchased and now they're giving you a referral. And you're continuing to grow the relationship. So there's all these steps that take place prior, and you're right on the spot because it's human to human, right? And in today's world, like the old school, like I was brought up on the old school selling, constantly, handling the
Always be
objections.
closing.
Always be closing.
Overcome the objection.
Yeah.
Shove it down their heads. Eat the whole pizza, not one bite.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's what
right?
we were taught.
That's what we were taught.
If you look at all the books back in the 80s, it was like, always be the winner, be on top, don't let them get an inch in, don't let them talk. When they start to object something, come in with a better objection.
Yeah, exactly. And how to handle it. And, how does that make you feel? Right.
Yeah.
Just lead them down a path that the old school way of selling, which today it still works today. Let's not say it doesn't.
No,
it does.
it's a proven step that
it's-
changes the psychology of the person while
Yeah.
you're overcoming the objections, because that sales cycle was still built on the same foundation of the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
the subconscious mind is afraid of something, you're not going to buy a car that day. This
Exactly.
guy's going to get me into the booth. I'm never going to get out of here. He's going to get me into a payment that's too high. But then he overcomes all these objections that you had and actually finds a compromise for you. And then the walls break down and your subconscious mind says, okay, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, and so again, you can work hard or work smart.
Work smarter.
Right. And, everybody's it used to be that the big thing about the web was having a website.
Yes.
And I still believe that's important. However, in today's world, if you're doing any type of sales, you need to have some type of sales funnel. And because it's more and more proven that this method of selling through online or developing leads is the ideal way to go. And especially with the technology where you can get so many narrow focused demographics on folks through Facebook or LinkedIn and some of these places where you can drive them to your sales funnel. And then what is a sales funnel? Well, a sales funnel is a process the same process that somebody's going to go through as the sales cycle. So you're going to give away something of value. Usually we call this the magnet, right? This is something that is appealing to your audience that you're giving away for free just to get their information. Then the next step is typically is a tripwire, but in just let's say it's a real estate agent or an insurance, right? The magnet is to get them into your database. Now you send them through the first two steps. There's generating the leads, contacting decision makers, and then establishing the credibility. Well, you get the lead, you contact them, but now you can use like a 10 email sequence that's of you teaching something or giving them of something value prior to them meeting you. And when you do this, right, so every time they receive an email, they click, they see a video, you're giving them something of value, like we use the real estate agents. So maybe you're teaching them on how to stage their home or what are some expectations that they should know ahead of time, right? And these emails go out prior to you even meeting with them so that you've built this credibility and trust with the audience. And this is how you would use a sales funnel to get to the point of the time you meet.
Yeah, so the magnet in most cases is your very first step, and I truly believe this should be your most powerful gift.
Absolutely.
So a lot, like you use the term real estate agents, a lot of real estate agents will get you on a magnet by saying, let me tell you what the value of your home is worth, because that's the biggest question you have when you're about to sell. So someone types in their email, puts in their address, hits the submit button, and then you're going to tell them the value of their home. But more importantly, you captured that email so that you can build a database. So in every business right now, your database is king. Doesn't matter what you're doing. The more followers, the more tribe you have, the more powerful your business is. Especially if you have a good exit strategy and you're going to sell this business at one point. The database and the followers are the key to it. If you go to Mod Pizza, they got an email for you and they're sending you text. If you go to Smush Ice Cream Sandwiches, they got an email for you and they're sending you text. They're building a database so they can touch you as many times as they can to keep in that mind. Real estate agents do the same thing. Maybe you don't sell your house, but you're still getting these follow-up emails that are building trust and keeping them into mind. So your magnet should be something very powerful. We give out a course called Survey, where you can take the survey and learn how to ask the clients what they want so that you can give them better service. So you just ask them what they want and then you give it to them. That's the key factor. But learning how to survey people is huge. So we give that away free. Even though that's a whole segment of one of our courses, we're giving that magnet away so that we can build our database. So we're giving a very powerful, expensive knowledge away for free. in order to take that email in to build our database so that we can build trust and actually run this cycle Mike's talking about, contacting the decision maker, putting offers in front of them, running a special, doing whatever you need to do to get that database to thrive.
Yeah, I think that's a critical point that we kind of skipped over is, you've said this a lot of times, that you can have the right message, but if you're delivering it to the wrong audience,
Yep.
you're going to fail, or vice versa. If you have the wrong message to the right audience, you're going to fail. So one of the things that helps prevent that is early on surveying. A lot of companies do not spend time doing this, and especially a lot of larger companies do these. They're called focus groups, but even for small businesses, you should be, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you should be survey your clients. Don't expect that you know what they want. Don't think that for them. You'd be amazed, and I've learned this the hard way early on and have lost a ton of money because I didn't do this. And I know you're a big proponent of this because it's important. Yeah.
Think about the logo we built for this radio show. Me and Mike had this very masculine logo, and we're like, that's the best logo ever.
Yep.
Nobody voted for it.
Nobody. And we had put it out and totally opposite of what we thought, right? We thought this was the winning logo, and we got overwhelming response on a complete different logo. So I survey on book covers, even the names of the courses and the things of the nature, anything that product that we're developing, any type of info products, constantly survey your audience. And what's great about surveying your audience is that you can use a lot of what they say in your marketing messages because they're going to tell you what they want, right? So like you had an example of the folks with the, you had several. You had the chiropractor, and then or the massage therapist. You also had the rescue program.
Yeah, and the dentist.
And the dentist, right? Share some of those examples.
So when we first went into this dental practice, they wanted to market healthy teeth and gums because a lot of the major surveys had proven that healthy teeth and gums are what people are worried about. So for their magnet, they were going to give away a guide on healthy teeth and gums. And I said,
this is based on the statistics of the association.
Yeah, the associations, right? And the overall dental practice in general.
Yeah.
But for her client database, for these two dentists, there was a male and a female working there. Their thing was same day appointments, no matter what. So if you walked in and you were there for your teeth cleaning and something was wrong, they fixed it right then and then. So the procedure would be done the same day you were there. They didn't try to book you out. Oh, hey, come back in 3 weeks. If something was brought up, they made time because they had enough staff to do this. And everybody came back with same day procedures and on-time appointments. We're there on time, the people greet them, and then the same day the procedure was done if something was awry. You're coming in for just a regular checkup, and they're like, oh my gosh, you have the beginning of a cavity. Boom, fixed right then and there. And people loved it. They were okay with it even costing more that day, but because it's just done. And those of us who've had dental work know that sometimes it drags out for 6 months. And you got one thing, then another thing, then another appointment, then a follow-up appointment. And this practice was done that way. So what did we do? We shifted the marketing and now said same-day procedures, on-time appointments. Same-day procedures, on-time appointments. So we took the words right out of the survey and put it right into our magnet. Sign up today and register, become part of our dental practice, and just started generating leads that way. Then we gave out tips on what could go wrong and be dealt with in a same-day procedure.
That's powerful, right? So, and that's what I'm talking about. So with the sales funnel, whether, again, if you're financial services or real estate or a small business, whatever it is, prior to them meeting with you, and we're using as today's example, so a real estate agent, prior to meeting with you, if you've already built enough value by giving them education and giving them value, something prior to the meet, now you sit down with them and you've built this trust and this rapport and instantly establish authority. And now we get into the sales mind map, right? So now we get into what our course is about here in the future. We're launching, and that is how you take someone through a process using NLP, right? And we're going to talk about that here in a bit when we get back, but from break in a minute. But I think that understanding this first part, it can condense time. It can speed up a process if they can create a system where there's communication of building value with the customer prior to a sit down.
Yeah, and it's always being curious.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get back from the break, we're going to discover the sales mind map on Money 105.5 with Mike Drigger and Brandon Heights.
See you in a minute.
Have you ever heard the statement, mindset is everything? I believe this statement to be true. If you're ready to grow in your business or you're trying to change things in your life, mindset is key. I'm Brandon Heights, and I've helped thousands of my clients set their mindset in the right direction to allow them to achieve their goals and to make changes in their lives. You can have what you want. Let's stop the limiting beliefs that are holding you back with my help. Go to AskBrandonForFree.com. That's AskBrandonForFree.com.
I'm Mark Durkin, General Manager at Salem Media Group. Assembly Bill 2943 would prohibit pastors and family counselors from helping people struggling with unwanted same-sex attraction. Imagine being fined or imprisoned for sharing biblical truth with people looking for help. Further, it could lead to banning books on the subject, including the Bible. Join us in urging your senator to vote no on AB 2943. Go to money1055.biz. Enter keyword assembly.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-210-6779. 800-210-6779. Don't wait. Call now. 800-210-6779. 800-210-6779.
Have you secured your family's financial future? Are you approaching your own retirement and seeking relief from those unexpected financial burdens like long-term care?
Back in 20.
Your legacy to the next generation instead. You can count on Family Heritage Group to help you prepare for your future your way. Remember, knowledge is power, so call Ed Outland's Family Heritage Group today at 967-3500, 967-3500 for a free life-changing consultation. Family Heritage Group, your solution to bridging the generations. Now back to In the Now with Brandon Heights and Mike Driggers on Money 105.5's Money 2.0.
Welcome back. Mike Driggers, Brandon Heights on In the Now here on Money Talk 105.5. And we've been talking about the sales cycle and how to, in the new modern way, reduce the time and build value and authority early on and take them to the point of now where you're meeting with them in person. In this case, we've been talking about real estate agents. So Brandon, we're now at the point where we meet with someone and we've given them a 10 email sequence that's prior to the meeting, reminders of the meeting, and then you're going to have a couple emails after the meeting. But during that time, you're giving them your video recording, teaching, giving them value. And now you've built this rapport. Now we're sitting down with them. Talk about the Mind Map sales program that we're talking about and launching. Share with some of the folks what that is. So you're now in the discovery of match and you're trying to go to the presentation.
So a lot of us are seeing this, especially if you're actually doing the research and working on yourself, like trying to better your mindset and trying to find easier ways. You see this from all the way from Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Gary Vee, all these guys out there, Chris and Taylor, all these big sales guys, Russell Brunson, they all understand that the fulfillment is there. You have a product that fulfills this human being's purpose of actually pursuing you. So take the sales out of it. Always be curious. ABC, not always be closing, always be curious. How can my product better this person's life? How can my product collapse this time frame? So by asking the right questions in the sequences that we teach in the sales mind map is what's going to get you to that next stage. What's going to build that rapport, what's going to get you to work with them is digging into the curiosity and finding out the significance of what this will have an impact on this person's life. How will this change? How's the timeline going to change for them? If you keep using real estate as an example, what would you like in your next home? And what will having that do for you? Mm-hmm. And letting them think about that for a moment. And then if you're showing the property, just stopping them for a second and saying, imagining what this backyard would look like with your family having a picnic at it. And let them realize being there and see the future pacing of that. And then just looking with them and letting them experience what they want out of this home, because you might end the open house within 15 minutes because this isn't the right home for them. But by being more curious and asking better questions, not selling them, not trying to drive them into a rebuttal battle where they're gonna give you an objective and you're gonna give them a rebuttal, and at the end you're gonna arm wrestle them down. No, walk them through the curiosity and significance phase, and then realize what their frustration and struggle has been trying to find the right home or the right product this whole time. And by you asking the right questions and acknowledging that these questions are being frustration has been a struggle for them, and then asking them, so what would it be like if you were to overcome these struggles and I was able to find you the right home with all these needs, and letting them see the hope in that and the freedom that's going to come from it. It allows them to pick their own house, and it actually is going to cut down a lot of time frame for you too. And we keep using the real estate agent because it kind of came up in the beginning of the show, but truly it'll help real estate agents the fastest, because you might walk in there and say, wait till you see this closet. And the gentleman's looking at you like, I want to see the garage first. And if you would have known that in the curiosity stage, you'd have known that he wants a garage and his wife wants a bathroom. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking for these houses, you're really targeting in on the curiosity and significance of what they've told you. Now when you're showing the houses, the house might not even be the right house, but the garage and the bathroom is, and they're willing to do the remodel to take that house, and the deal is going to close itself.
Absolutely.
So walking them through the stages of curiosity and significance, and then the frustrations and struggles they've gone through, and just asking the questions. And then looking at that hope and freedom that they're going to have by you finding the right home is already setting them up. So you walk through these stages with them and learn the process of what their brain does for the buying power. What type of decisions do these people act upon? What type of frustration are they currently having that your sales fulfillment process can handle? Because if you're doing this, then there is no real sales. So simply saying, what would you like? What have you experienced in the past? Can you imagine having this right now? And then saying, so if I was able to find this right property for you, is that something you would want me to represent you in? And finding out what's going on with that. And they say, absolutely, I'd love to work with you. Okay, so when do you want this? I wanted it yesterday. If you could find that house right now, we're closing. And then say, okay, so if I'm able to find that and everything looks good from your perspective and the right house is there, would you like to sign with me? Yes, I would. Okay, going forward. Same thing happens in a sales transaction. I'm going to list your house. Okay, so if I can do these certain things for you, is that what you're going to want from me as me representing you as my agent?
Now,
okay.
And so let's talk a little bit through that process. You're asking those questions. One of the things that I thought when I first met with you and we were talking and you were using some of the NLP, talk about like the body language and what happens and how to recognize some of the signs early on. I think that's important.
Absolutely.
In this process.
And that's the rapport stage, right? So when you're in the sales mind map, there's all kinds of ways of looking at the transition you're going to go through. Everybody makes a decision differently. There's no two people who are thinking the same thing at the same time. There's a way that you can recognize these things by being in rapport with somebody. And rapport could be from body mirroring to audio tone to just the way you present yourself across from them, how you're talking to them, what kind of keywords you're backtracking. So learning all of these sales steps throughout the Sales Mind Map course is going to teach you where to actually drive these things into place. But you've got to be registered and thinking of them, not just throwing out rebuttals. Mm-hmm. So during that curiosity phase, when you ask somebody, what would you like? Really wait and calibrate what's happening in their body. If they light up right off the bat, say, I'm curious, you lit up when that happened. What were you thinking? Oh, when you asked me what I want this big rolling staircase to come down from the top level, but I want a wraparound porch out front of the house the most. And so I pictured this wraparound porch. And then right then and there, you're already looking in the hope and the significance of what they're looking for. So it's almost like if someone said, hey, make me some spaghetti, but you don't have your own recipe. You're going to want to know all the pieces that go into that recipe before actually trying to make that for them, especially if you're going to make an impression on them and you want this person to like your spaghetti. You've got to have all the ingredients. So learning the rapport, learning the body language, learning what's going on in their mind, what are they thinking of, and being more curious.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Like when you were asking me questions, like in role play, and you would ask me a question, and I would look either to the left or the right, and that gave you a signal because of the NLP. What was that? I know where the right is in the future. Is that correct?
Yeah, so your right is your future, your left is your past.
Right.
So when you looked up, you were imagining something that had already happened. So I asked you, what were you just looking at when you thought about that? And you told me it was this. And I said, okay, was that a problem in your life at that time?
Right.
Yeah, I didn't really like the way this salesman dealt with me. Okay, what happened? And then right then and there, you're getting a telltale sign. If you were to step in that same hole that salesman did, the deal would probably be dead. Mm-hmm. But if you're just curious and you understand the person you're sitting across from, like think about this like your first date, and you're trying to be in rapport with that person sitting behind you, and you don't want to talk about yourself the whole time. You want to ask them questions, make them feel significant, and learn from that person, especially if you really want to bond with them. If you guys are connecting, that's the most important thing. Human connection is what sales is about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing with the beginning part of this that we discussed with the funnels and building that rapport with the email. So you've built this trust, and now you're able to read, and you're sitting there, you're discovering whether their needs are right, going through discovery of the match. And then now you're in that position to, you're asking them and you're seeing these body languages. And so one was the future, the other one was the past, and you're able to notice how their eyes looked, which way they looked when you asked that question. And I think that's a very powerful sign for a sales rep, right? And obviously, if you already know what the most common objections are, you can handle them, but there's certain things you don't know. Like you use the example of how a particular salesperson handled them in the past, and you definitely don't want to be, if they had a negative response to that, you don't want to be in that type of situation.
Yeah, you don't want to trigger something. There's all kinds of triggers that happen to us throughout life, and most of them were embedded from something that's happened to us. So experiences come from things that you experience. So belief structure gets put into place when you experience something, whether you like it or you don't like it. It builds a belief. I don't like it when people ask me this. I don't like it when people say to me, well, let me be honest with you. Mm-hmm. Then then it throws a trigger up in my head like, wait a minute, has this person been being honest the whole time?
Yeah.
Or is it only right now?
Yeah, exactly. That's been a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, so
let me be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you the truth right now. What'd you just tell me? Was that stuff before a lie? So there's always a trigger in there, right? So one thing that everyone says, okay, so like they're trying to present this close. You don't have to close if you ask the right question. So if you're ABC, always being curious.
Mm-hmm, because they're going to sell themselves.
And learning the cycles. I'm not just saying you can just always go out there and just ask all these questions. These are things that we're going to teach you in the Sales Mind Map course. And for those of you who are joining us right now, we are launching a free fan page that launched actually today. It just actually got created this morning. It's going live
20 minutes ago.
It's not supposed to launch till September, but for our radio hosts, we're going to start building people up from the radio group and sending out invitations today. So it's at the Now Fam on Facebook. At the Now Fam on Facebook. So go in there and join. We're going to be giving away all kinds of free content, all kinds of sales funnels for you guys to use. We're just going to fill this group up with all the free information starting in September all the way to the end of the year when we launch the big overall mastermind course. But this group's going to be free for all you guys, where you can learn sales maps, you can learn eye contact, rapport, what things are going on, so that if you decide to come to one of our courses, you've got some background. You've got some free magnets. Remember the magnet we said? Mm-hmm. Giveaway as much free content. Guess what? We want you to join this Facebook page.
Provide
We want to be
value.
involved with you guys and share some of the knowledge that we have so that you can get that leg up. The more success you have, the more successful we're going to be in our show, in our radio, in all of our advertising that we do. Because guess what? We'll be surveying you in that section too, asking you, what is it you'd like?
Mm-hmm.
What will having that do for your business? So at the Now Fam on Facebook. We'll get back to you after the break. This is Brandon Heinz and Mike Driggers on Money 105.5 in the Now.
See you in a minute.
Change comes from action. What actions will you take this year to ensure you and your business grow?
I'm Brandon Heinz, founder of the Now Academy, where our focus is to help you achieve everything you want, both in your business and in your life. It's time to take the action needed to have what you want, and you don't have to do it alone. Join us for the next upcoming Design It course, where we will teach you the proven systems to design your business to gain your life.
Take action and register for the Design It course at designitcourse.com and reserve your seat today.
The Home Show is back. Listen every Friday morning at 11 for home improvement tips, local events, entertainment, and so much more. Join Terry Knight as he brings in experts in the home improvement field and real estate industry every Friday at 11. Before you make your next home improvement, be sure to listen to The Home Show to get tips, recommendations, and find out how to get the best deals. Find Terry on Facebook at The Home Show with Terry Knight and pose your questions and recommendations.
All right,
Listen
coming
Friday
back
mornings
in
at 11
10.
to The Home Show with Terry Knight, sponsored by 5 Star Restoration and Construction.
The number one show for entrepreneurs. This is In the Now, part of the Money 2.0 series on Money 105.5 and the Money 105.5 app.
Welcome back. Mike Driggers, Brandon Heinz on Money Talk 105.5 FM here, Sacramento, California on In the Now.
In the Now, thank you to everybody out there listening.
Yeah, we've got some really good folks on the fan page, right? The Facebook. Amy J. Morrison's on. Welcome. We have Curtis James is on. Teo Ortiz, James Malinchak. Welcome. We have, let's see who else. We have Carl Ramstaff. We have Tony Fowler's on.
Eric DeGroot.
Yep, Eric DeGroot.
My beautiful wife,
Steve
Veronica.
Johnson.
Woohoo! Thanks, baby.
Gabby. My fiance Gabby, she's on there. So Ed Parker's there. Welcome. We've got a lot of people. Steve Johnson's there. You know, we've got some really good feedback. People are continuing to post in there. You know what their thoughts are, and Curtis was talking about analytics, and the numbers don't lie, right?
They don't. And then I could tell you right now by learning the sales map process. So the mind map is huge for me. I went from this is something I'll share with you guys. This is like a thing that I used to be proud of too. I was like, man, I'm a 12% closer. And when I was in the mortgage industry, they're like, 12%? Yep. If I make 100 phone calls today, I'm going to get 12 applications, or I'm going to get so many applications. But at the end of the month, I'm going to close 12 of those 100 deals. And they're like, well, that's not a good closing ratio. Yeah, but my 12 deals was $3 million in volume. So I was like very analytical about the stats, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then after about 3 years of training and going through neuroscience and digging through all this stuff, I realized that I was now a 75 to 85% closer because I asked the questions ahead of time in the phone call. I have a 10-minute warm-up call and say, okay, I want to ask you 3 questions before we meet. And I would weed out the people I didn't want to work with. Me and my old mentor that I teached with for this whole time used to call this discovering a match. So understanding if this is the right person to work with, because how many of you people have had that client that took up so much of your time and energy, and then there was the one that was just blissful and then closed right away. So the lead, the sales, and the fulfillment that happened was easy. So when I learned this process of to stop closing and position it correctly. I'm not telling you that you're not going to be a salesperson anymore. You're going to have a moment. So let's say, for example, in one of my one-on-one sessions where I'm meeting with a client for the first time and I allot 60 minutes, I could literally tell you 10 minutes of it's going to be selling. And that selling is going to be more like seeding and storytelling versus overcoming an objective. So looking at those significant stages that you go through in our sales mind map course that we teach, you're going to find a way to just be curious and listen and future pace clients and look at their body rapport and then just ask them a simple question. So if you could have this, when would you like it? And they answer that. And then you say, okay, so if I can fulfill that, which I have done with my clients before. Let me tell you a story about my dentist that I worked with. Let me tell you about this coach that I worked with on a mentorship program. And you see the story of how you were able to successfully help somebody with that same problem because you've identified the problem. And 9 out of 10 times, you've already helped that same client. You use that story, and that's the closing.
Yeah, which is part of this demonstrating value.
Stories sell.
Right. So you've set the value in a story about a customer that had a similar experience
and how you help them.
And exactly.
And it's no different than our audio logo where I say, I work with people spending thousands of dollars on marketing and not getting the results they're looking for. And I've helped thousands of my clients, help them to exceed these goals, build revenue and impressions to their website, and I can help you. So that little story trigger now says, oh my gosh, this person's been able to help other people with the same problem I had, and he's listened to me the whole time.
Which is right there. That's the key.
Yep.
They listen to me, which a lot of people don't. And it's a part of surveying in person. You're listening and asking them questions, watching the body language, and you're hearing the message that where they're stuck or the frustration or the objections. And then you handle them with stories of value, demonstrating value of what you've done. And this is how you handle a lot of any type of objection. And again, most people know what the common objections are. I don't have time, don't have money, don't have the resource. There's all these common things.
So Mike, you're saying to me that you don't have time, you don't have the money, and you don't have the resources.
Correct.
But if I was able to show you, like I have other clients, how to save that time and to get the money back out of your marketing, would that be something you were interested in?
Yeah, sure, if you could show me.
So what I just did was a keyword backtrack, right? I repeated the key words that his frustration and struggle were going through.
Absolutely.
And at that point, he still hasn't let his guard down, but he knows that I heard him. And the keyword backtracking is huge with the subconscious mind. It acknowledges the like person sitting across from him. They call it the critter brain. He's like me. He understands what I'm going through. And then I said, okay, so I have helped a client with that time problem, and I've shown how revenue can do it. And here's an example. I worked with someone just like you that their courses were only filling up to 100 people because they weren't asking the curiosity questions in their mind map, in their sales funnel. They weren't getting to that piece yet. And I was able to change that and survey their clients so that we were asking the right question to the right people, and the enrollment went up by 40%. Is that something you want to do with your courses?
Absolutely.
Would you like to do that now, or are you looking to that next year?
No, never right away.
Okay, so if I can help you with that, would you like to work with me?
Yeah.
So then I know I've taken the objection out. So price hasn't come into it. So if something does come into it at this point, like price, then there's your sales objections, right? Yeah, compared to what? All these things that could happen. But I could say, I already know the significance. I know the curiosity. I know the hope he has for his courses. And I've actually keyword backtracked, and he knows I'm listening. He wants to work with me. So the only problem it could be is whether he can afford to move forward with the marketing campaign, right?
Right.
And you can make that work for anyone. You can stage them up. So, okay, so if the only problem is going to be the amount that it costs, how can we work this out so that we can work together and get you what you need in this timely fashion?
Yeah, that's a bit higher, and it's not quite my budget.
Yeah.
I don't have it right now, And then it's up to you. You have different ways of pricing it out. Maybe spread out a payment over 2 months or 3 months or whatever.
Well, that's perfect, Mike, because we're not asking for it all up front. So what I'd like to do is show you the 3 payment plan that we have, and we can walk through that stage and make sure it fits for your budget. So these are all things that you can learn, and most of us know we're already successful. Everyone right now listening to this show, you're successful. Give yourself a round of applause right now. You are successful. But how hard are you working? If you look at everyone that I mentioned earlier in these shows, they know one thing. Evolution of the sales map is changing. Belief structures and trigger points are so embedded in the humanity and society right now that you have to be a new person. You can't be that pushy salesman that's like, well, let's get you to test drive this car right now. Get in the car. Let's go for a ride. Let's drive and see how you like it. And they're driving some car they didn't even want.
Yeah.
And they get back to the dealership, and pretty soon, about 5 minutes later, they're walking off the lot. because you didn't ask the significance. You didn't look at them. You didn't future pace them. You didn't look at their body rapport. You weren't in line with them. You were not in rapport. So none of this stuff's going to work. Handling an objection, great. A lot of us have already been trained on that. We know these things.
Right. Well, and you use, like what you said, the backtracking.
Yep.
And it's also, you know, I know how you feel. I feel the same way. And so what you're saying is, or I know how you feel. A lot of folks have felt the same way. And what you're saying is this, you don't have time, money, or resources. And a lot of folks that I've worked with, they were in similar situations. And now you go into the story, you're demonstrating value through the story. And now what happens is the close is no longer the be always closing techniques that were taught in the old school, because what's happened is the person that you're meeting with, the potential prospect, is starting to close themselves because of the way you handle and demonstrate the value. Right. And if
the way you're future pacing them.
Right. And again, you know, people buy based on trust, like in knowledge of who you are, but they buy to speed up a process, eliminate pain, to create pleasure. And the last one's, do they buy you? And at this process, by the time you've met with them, you've built enough value. Now you're going through the presentation, you're backtracking on what they're handling, you're handling the objections with stories, and now the closing becomes a lot easier and quicker.
And the relationship has grown.
Yeah.
You've now figured out if you want to work with this person. You might get to the end and be like, this is not the right fit. Let me refer you over to so-and-so. They're going to be able to help you with that exact problem. They've helped people with that before, and you part ways.
And then now they become a client. Now here's where I think a lot of people drop the ball, is that as soon as they sign them up as a client, they no longer build more value.
Yeah.
And this is probably the most critical part to this, is that once they become a customer, you want to continue to deliver value to them, whether it's in email, video, with videos, right? Teaching them more value, giving them, you know, different stories, things. You're constantly giving them value, because the one thing you want in your customer is to be at top of mind, so that when somebody comes to them and says, hey, do you know anybody that's a good real estate agent? You know what? I know exactly the person, right? Or if you ask for a referral, they're going to feel comfortable because you've given so much value to them that they'll want to refer to you.
The rapport is there.
Exactly.
The guard is down. You've passed all the trigger points, and now you've built a relationship with another human.
Yeah, and so this ongoing value. So the formula is value, sell, upsell, downsell, deliver what you said you were going to do, and then provide more value. And, you know, you never know what other products that they're going to buy or upsells. Maybe they didn't do it at that time, but they'll do it later. You don't know who they're going to refer. So where a lot of, I think, companies stop is continuing the growth of the relationship.
Yeah, nurturing it.
And nurturing it.
That's the whole reason why CRMs were invented, right?
Yeah.
Client relationship management teams, so they could follow up and nurture your clients. So a lot of you have been through our shows. You've seen our guests. You've seen our announcements we do. You know that we give a lot of value. I'm really encouraging you to go to Facebook at the Now Fam and join right now in the pre-joining registration, because we're going for it. We're going to be giving away so much value. You're going to love it.
Love.
So today's show was all about sales and the sales funnel and building the significance of it, and just building rapport with your customers like we do with you guys on the radio every Thursday at 10 a.m. So make sure you join us every Thursday and get on there at the Now Fam on the Facebook.
Yeah, make sure you join, and we look forward to comments. You know, if you've got, you're stuck on something or you want some advice, hey,
post them.
We'll talk about it on the radio. Let's share.
Money 105.5 with Brandon Heinz and Mike Drigger in the Now.